Obi-Wan. Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time. A long time.
It's Star Wars month on Movie Night Extravaganza. Tonight we're starting with the original Star Wars, A New Hope, the only film in the Star Wars original trilogy written and directed by George Lucas, who would take a step back from the actual on-the-ground directing after this movie almost killed him and passed the reins, while acting as the producer and co-writer of Empire and Return of the Jedi. George Lucas started out directing with a sci-fi movie, the ill-fated THX 1138, which wouldn't be recognized as a cult classic until after Star Wars. Then followed up with the enormously successful American Graffiti. Both films have been produced by Francis Ford Coppola's American Zoetrope. A New Hope was inspired by multiple sources, borrowing liberally from Kurosawa, especially The Hidden Fortress, and inspired by Lucas's desire to make a Flash Gordon movie, which he couldn't get the rights to. Lucas was also inspired by the work of Joseph Campbell after reading The Hero with a Thousand Faces and wanted to make a modern myth, as well as the Vietnam War, which George Lucas had sought to join as an Air Force pilot, but been rejected from because of his love of auto racing had left him with dozens of speeding tickets, and then he had been declared 4F after a medical examination showed he had type 2 diabetes. Even so, by 1977, it was clear that the Viet Cong had been on the righteous side and the American Empire was not, and George Lucas based the rebellion on the North Vietnamese resistance.
You did something very interesting with Star Wars, if you think about it. The good guys are the rebels. They're using asymmetric warfare against a highly organized empire. I think we call those guys terrorists today. We call them Mujahideen, we call them Al-Qaeda.
When I did it, they were Viet Cong.
Exactly. So were you thinking of that at the time?
Yes.
After shop beat around to Universal, United Artists, and Paramount, Alan Ladd Jr. finally bought the 13-page treatment and made a deal to finance Star Wars at Fox. Initially only a $150,000 deal, it would get to be renegotiated as soon as American Graffiti opened and had been nominated for 5 Academy Awards. The screenplay went through 4 drafts before becoming a 300-page long script that would have to be turned into a trilogy of films. We'll go over alternative castings in the episode, I'm sure, but Star Wars stars Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, Alec Guinness, Kenneth Baker as R2-D2, who would also star in Time Bandits and be in The Elephant Man, Amadeus, Labyrinth, and Willow, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, who was the only actor to appear in 11 Star Wars films, Peter Cushing, not CGI this time, Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca, and James Earl Jones and David Prowse as Vader.
Hello there. Come here, my little friend. Don't be afraid.
The cinematographer was Gilbert Taylor, who had worked on A Hard Day's Night and Dr. Strangelove. Gilbert Taylor and George Lucas would famously feud, Taylor not listening to George Lucas' suggestions, and George Lucas moving the camera and lights himself. Lucas began Industrial Light and Magic, the visual effects company, because Fox no longer had one. After originally thinking Tatooine would be a jungle planet, but not wanting to get stuck in the Philippines, Tatooine became a desert planet, and the crew went to Tunisia to film there, getting into a whole host of issues from a giant rainstorm to none of the robot parts or costumes working in the desert. Most of the film was shot in England, in Elstree Studios, which is why so much of the cast is English. The British actors, however, did not take the film seriously and thought of it as a children's film. It got bad enough that Alec Guinness apparently begged to be killed off as Obi-Wan and claimed that's why he dies at the end. It was also shot in Guatemala for the Yavin 4 rebel base.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
One of the most quotable and definitely the most parodied film of all time, A New Hope began Luke Skywalker's saga as he took on the Empire and trained to become a Jedi, from being a pretty whiny farm boy on Tatooine. His professed dreams to leave the sandy planet and join the rebellion become real when he finds a message inside his new astromech R2-D2 droid looking for Ben Kenobi.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
His aunt and uncle are killed, and it launches Luke, Obi-Wan, C-3PO, and R2 into a mission to find a ship in Mos Eisley.
Mos Eisley Spaceport. You will never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
a ship piloted by Han Solo and Chewbacca, to hopefully return the droid to Princess Leia on Alderaan.
I want to come with you to Alderaan. There's nothing for me here now.
But Leia is actually held captive by Darth Vader and Grand Moff Tarkin, not CGI, on the Death Star. The post-production process was similarly stressful. George Lucas's then-wife Marcia Lucas was one of the film's editors. A version of the film without any of the visual effects was shown to his friends and family, many of whom did not understand the film at all without the effects. However, the Fox executives loved it. On a budget of $11 million, Star Wars, A New Hope was not added until 1981, made $775 million at the box office, beating Jaws as the most financially successful movie ever made at the time.
You can't win, Darth. If you strike me down, I shall become more powerful than you can possibly imagine.